Hey everybody. All right, so this is the studio. Pardon my mess. I've been the only one here for about 6 months now, so I've got a bunch of my junk all over. But so when you come in here to do some recording, if the computer is not on, this is the power button. You'll feel it click. Just press that, it'll boot up. If the monitor is off as well, power button is on the right side here somewhere. Behind top button here. So that'll turn the monitor on, again, if it's not on already. We're gonna be using this DigiDesign preamp in the top of the rack here. This may or may not be on. If it's off, just power it up, give it a few seconds. And so we've got this larger mic stand here. Like if you're gonna do vocals, you might wanna use that one. I'll also have a couple other mic stands over here by the quote mic cabinet. Not so much of a cabinet, just shelves really, but so I'll have a couple mic stands there as well. Just for a quick demo, I'm gonna plug in this SM58. So I've got to do a little bit of patching to get a mic into Pro Tools in this room. So down here in the bottom left corner, these are just some molds that you plug something in here and it shows up at all these other points basically, right? So if we plug in this mic cable, the male end is what you'll plug in here. The female end is what plugs into the microphone. Sorry, I gotta put my phone down real quick. So the female end plugs into the microphone. I just grabbed one of these little clip mic clips. They're on the top of the mic cabinet there. And so I just plugged it into this first one. Doesn't matter, you can use any one you want. If you're putting up a few mics, then you'll need to use a few of these. On our patch bay, they show up on the bottom right corner as accessory receptacles A through D, A through D, E through H. So obviously it's the top four, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So I plugged it into this first one. So I want to patch from accessory A into, it says Avid Pre up here, which, I mean, that's what this is, but it was made when the company was still called DigiDesign. So anyway, doesn't matter. And I'm just going into the first mic pre on it. And this mic does not need phantom power. It's a condenser microphone. I'm sorry, it's a dynamic microphone. But if you are plugging in something that needs phantom power, 48 volts, that's your phantom power. Insert if you're plugging like a instrument straight into it or something. Pad probably won't need it, but it's probably a 20 dB pad on this pre. This will flip the phase if you need, but if you're just using one microphone, you shouldn't, or you wouldn't. And that's a low frequency roll off if you want it. So you just select, we're using the first channel, so select that first channel. If we needed phantom power, we would press it there, or any of these others, right? And this will be your gain. And so we should, if I scratch this, there. We're seeing signal on channel 1 here, and this is our kind of master peak meter there. So we're seeing signal. It's also going to this Focusrite box. So our signal flow, we're going microphone to this panel, which is connected to this patch point. We patch from there into the mic pre. It shows up in the mic pre. It's coming out of the mic pre, going into the Focusrite box. That's how we get it into Pro Tools. So there's a Dante card in this unit, and that's connected to Pro Tools. Well, it's connected to the computer, which has Pro Tools on it. It goes out of here into this monitoring unit, and that's what sends it to our speakers. And while you're recording in here, you're gonna want the speakers muted, right? Because if you're playing back through the speakers, it's just gonna feed back through the microphone. So on our monitoring section here, these two buttons will mute the left and right channels, which is our stereo out. So that's muted. I also usually keep the dim on. Just, I don't know, it's just kind of a precaution I always take. You know, if you hit play and something's blasting louder than you thought, you know, if this is unmuted and you hit play, at least the dim's on and it won't, you know, blow your ears out. So if you want to hear through the speakers, you're going to need to unmute these, and you'll want to eventually take the dim off. This is your master volume in the studio. These two buttons will switch between the two pairs of speakers. The mains are these big PMCs, and the alt are these focals. So that'll just switch between one and the other. And the great thing about this monitoring unit is that it's calibrated so that if you want to be monitoring on the big speakers and switch to the smaller speakers, you know, just to hear any differences going on, these two selectors are set basically to the same level. So you shouldn't hear any volume difference. You shouldn't hear any loudness difference when you switch. It'll just be, you know, just different set of speakers, which is, you know, it's always nice to hear your mixes on different speakers. It gives you a kind of different perspective of what's going on. So if we open a Pro Tools session, Pro Tools is already open. So I'll just go Apple N to bring up our new session dialog. I'm just going to call this test for now. What I suggest for all your projects, name it the date followed by your name, maybe the date underscore your name, and we're gonna keep it at 48K and 24-bit. It's you know, it's good quality. It will keep file sizes relatively small, while maintaining really, you know, a good high sample rate. I/O settings, just leave it as last used. I recommend WAV as your file type. Interleaved is just, it's gonna make it if you have a stereo track, it'll make one stereo track, or it'll name the audio file under one audio track rather than make it a dot left and a dot right audio file. I always just leave it interleaved. So we're gonna go create, then it'll bring up where we want to save it as and what we want to call it. So I've already called it test. We'll save it on this active drive. And I'll make a new folder right now, actually. We'll call this Fall 2020. Actually, let's go the other way. Let's call it 2020 Fall. So I just did that because the engineer before me had this convention set up, and just for consistency, I'll leave it at that. 2020 Fall. Let's actually call this, we'll go 2008, 24 underscore Kevin DiBello. So that's what I recommend you save your sessions as. It'll be easy to find by date. You know, if you know when you were in here, you'll find it right away, and then obviously your name in this Fall 2020 folder. In fact, we're gonna make a new folder within that, and we're gonna call it Use 2071. Because anything else that I'm recording this fall will be in this Fall 2020 folder. So our projects will live in this Music 2071, and then you go save, and it opens your session, And we can just make sure we're getting signal real quick. Shift Apple N brings up the new track dialog. So I'm just gonna make one mono audio track. Boom. And now I'm gonna set, okay, it's already set for input 1. And I just put it on input here, and we can already see a little bit of signal there. Now if I grab the mic, check, 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 check. It's not bouncing very much there. Check, check. Okay, so that tells me, since I'm not seeing this meter move at all, that's telling me my Dante inputs are not set up correctly. So I'm going to take this out of input. I'm going to go to Dante controller. This is what controls all the Dante routing, and we'll talk more about that obviously. But so you got these two menus, kind of. So the transmitters, these are what's sending Dante signals. Receivers are what's receiving Dante signals, right? So we're in the control room. The control room receiver for speakers left and right, that's getting Pro Tools 1 and 2. That's cool. Now our Pro Tools input and output, though, I was just recording something in the concert hall last night, so that's this Dvorak. So you see all these green check marks? That's telling me that the mics in Dvorak are what are set as my first 7 Pro Tools inputs. I want the control room to be coming into, I want the control room to transmit to Pro Tools as the receiver. So I'm going to open this control room tab, and now we can see DigiDesign Pre 1, Pre 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have one set up for TalkBack, but I don't think we're going to need to use that probably ever. So I'm going to change Pro Tools Input 1 to receive from DigiDesign Pre 1. And when it's the hourglass it's working, then it turns to a green check mark saying that this Dante channel is transmitting from DigiDesign Pre 1, and it's going to Pro Tools Input 1. And I'm going to close that. And now, check, check, check. We should. Uh-oh. That wasn't it. All right, give me 1 second.